What's up, Rockstars? Today I have the pleasure of showing off Euthia Torment of Resurrection. This is huge, not just physically, which as you can see is massive, but also just big because it's a long time coming from an indie developer that I covered a long time ago, and they are finally delivering. They actually have the product going out to people, and I am excited to celebrate with them. So let's dive in and see exactly what all the fuss is about. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons and YouTube members. It is through their financial support that this channel is possible. It is thanks to them that I am able to do much of this channel, whether it's just the quality of the video or the quantity of the video, the information I provide, and the freedom to choose to cover exactly what I want and not just who pays me the most or anything like that, to take no money from game developers. That is all thanks to them. So if you can give even $1 a month, there is a link down below, and it's greatly appreciated. Though if not, just a like on the video letting me know that this was helpful is all the reward I really need, because at the end of the day, that's why videos just like this exist. So, let's see what all the fuss is about. I will go top down once I get everything out of the box. But I wanted to open it up so you can see I'm a person and not some floating hands. Because that's all you're going to see once we go top down, is just my hands. And a lot of game. Oh man, that is beautifully packaged. I'm working on getting a second camera. That's, again, thanks to my patrons. But for now, I'm going to tip the box. Look at that. Now, this is interesting because it actually shows the language, English. And from what I can tell, the boxes look the same. Oh my gosh, it's just two giant boxes in here. That's how they packaged it? That's awesome. Not a whole bunch of tiny boxes that I have to figure out everywhere and kind of pile in everywhere. Oh, man. Oh. Very well packaged and very heavy. Oh, so they got these around the corners, which is nice. These are like soft, very dense. I like it. Okay, and we have this. Now the second one should be easier to get out. These are sturdy. I like it. This is wonderfully packaged. The outside's cool too, as you guys can see. All right. Now, when you throw this box, be sure not to hit one of your kids. You don't want to go to the hospital. Okay. All right. I think these are identical from what I can tell, box-wise. So they have the side here is the same, and then here is the same, here and here. We're also going to look at the back, and then we're going to go top down. Okay. There is the back. So as you can see, it has several different, a little bit of information on it, on both of them. Okay. All right, now let's actually dive in and take a look at this. All right, guys, let's go ahead and dive in. I'm excited to see this. Is a massive game, by the way. And it's not just the size of the box that's massive. I'm sitting here looking at this. Up to 120 minutes per player. Imagine a 4-player game on that. It's pretty big. All right, now I'm going to try and... They got the optional app. I dig optional apps. I love apps in board games, actually. A lot of them are super cool. It just depends on how it's implemented, what it's doing, and whether or not I have to have it to play the game. Okay, I'm trying. This is so packed tight right now that I feel pretty confident tipping it upside down, even like that. 8 scenarios. 3 scenarios is Mighty Dragons, Walking Destruction, The Hunt, Fear, Invocation, Imminent Threat, and Lord's Request. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are the 8 scenarios. We have monsters, and it talks about that. Modular tile-based map, and a build a character. Now, I don't know if this is actually going to retail. If so, my goodness. So then the miniature edition, which this one is, also has 6 hero miniatures, a Farragu miniature, and a Golem miniature. Otherwise, it's all of this stuff. And there's a lot, like 424 items. 504 tokens for heroes. Like, there's just a massive 109 quest cards, quite a bit in here. And the minis, my understanding, are quite large as well. So let's go ahead. And it looks like made in E-Star, so let's see how that turns out. They have been improving. Now, I have yet to get a game from E-Star that is 100% something I like. They always seem to have some kind of issue. However, those tend to be like with a ton of minis. So they tend to make everything but minis, I think, pretty well. And then the minis they kind of cheap out on a little bit when it comes to like the sculpt design, making them a little bit more flat, stuff like that. So we will see. That means that these are going to be large minis. There's only a few of them. How hard can it be? We will find out. Okay. Now, first things first. This is nice padding. I can tell you that much. This is nice. We have the lore and art. Nice little lore and art. Is this one? One thing. Oh, okay. Very cool to include this. Like, that's really nice to have this. Is this the storyboard for the Kickstarter video? That's cool. I dig that. So some behind the scenes stuff as well. Very nice. Very nice. I dig that. That's cool to include, especially when you got some cool art. Okay. And then we have the scenario book. This has the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different scenarios in there. More art on the back. And here we have introduction, the hunt, special rules, imminent threat, special rules. So there's a lot, most of it, I mean, there's a little bit of actual map layout, but for the most part, it's just different rules for each one as these special rules and stuff like that, and just kind of setup and all that. Though it looks like some have a lot more than others. So a nice variety there, it seems like. Then we have the appendix. This is just an appendix here. So let's go in and do the rule book first. Rule book right here. This is the rule book. Objective of the game right there at the very beginning before you even get into it. That is cool. I dig that. I dig that a lot. All right. So on the back, we just have a credit and thanks. All backers. I like that. Oh, guys. An index. This is the whole thing. This is it. This is the holy grail that I like to see. We have an index. We have letter headers. And we have multiple pages listed. Oh my dear God. I'm in love. I love it. This is awesome. This is great. Like, it's really, really useful. Look at this. Gems are mentioned on 6, 9, 16, 18, 24, 28, and 29. You just list one of those. I'm not going to read everything about gems. If I want to know everything there is to know about death, I know to read these 5 pages here. Hot diggity dog. That is great. Awesome. Love it. All right. Already 10 out of 10 game, guys. I don't even need to review it. You guys go out, buy 5 copies of this, and frame the index. Dear God. Okay, so this is, okay. In the actual review, I will actually review the rulebook. I'll let you guys know what I think about actually reading it. Looking at it now, though, we have an objective of the game, high level, right up front. Then we have an index in the back that is perfectly made. And then we have a component list that is showing both images, counts, and the name of the thing I'm looking at here. This is so useful because when I see stuff like this, and I love wolves, and this wolf is wearing a crown, so this is like made for me. However, I don't know elite monster cards level 2 versus level 3. What's the difference? It looks like there's a sword difference, but it's nice to be able to see this. That's super helpful. Or when you mention control cards, well, what the freak is a control card? Oh, it's this. I would not have guessed this is control. Now I know. Okay, so silver and gold, very obvious. What are the teleport scroll tiles? What the heck did that look like? Well, apparently it looks like that. Helpful to know. So the image, the count, so I know I got everything, and the name helps so much. I will be, as I read this, they'll mention teleport cards. I'm like, okay, what are those again? And I'll look at it here. I flip back to this all the time when reading the rulebook. Super helpful. Really do enjoy that, especially if you like, let's say this only has 1 die, but if you have multiple die, name different things, yeah, it's super helpful. So that's really nice to see. See, we got some nice headers. We got some call out boxes with different colors boxed out. A lot of iconography, kind of getting through all of that. It looks like we have numbered stuff to tell you what each part is. This is all nice. Again, I'll fully review this, but okay, so now we're getting into gameplay on page 9. Everything else is, it looks like, I think, just set up. right? And then, okay, here's a player's turn with some notes. I love these call-out boxes. Super helpful. Breaking down, like even something like this, if it has multiple things on it, let me know what all those are. Golden rules. Call out there for golden rules. This is nice. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but from what I can see, this is very well thought out and very well made. And just looking at it visually with all of the images, with some of the examples, if there's one tiny little tidbit I would like to see is I would like examples kind of exemplified too, because sometimes now if this is written correctly, there are no new rules in the example. I've read books otherwise where the example contains rules that are only in the example, and I've called it out before in a review, so don't do that. Assuming the example has no new rules, it is kind of nice to make sure to note that, now, almost like a call-out box of some kind, right, or a different color or something like that. This looks pretty obvious. I don't know if they're all like that or not, because sometimes it is nice, especially when you're leafing through it, to just skip all the examples. I don't need an example right now, or if nothing else, call that out as well. But I'm liking this. Like I'm stretching for something to complain about there. Okay, then we have an appendix. Now, what is the appendix, and why do I need this thick of an appendix? You tell me. This is like thicker than the rule book. Okay, so we have 31 pages. It's as thick as the rule book. And is this just like, okay, there's symbols and icons on the back, easy reference there. It looks like just more rules. Like here's jewelry here, and then jewelry here was, let me go to the index and look under J. 28 and 29. Let's look at 28 and 29. Here's 28 and 29. So it looks like 28 doesn't specifically mention jewelry per se. Like I'm sure it's mentioned somewhere here, right? And somewhere here under equipment. But then this has an actual whole thing about jewelry. So it's almost like there's two different rule books, with this being a deep dive into some of the things. Timing of different abilities and stuff like that, perhaps. All sorts of stuff. So this is going to be a big reference as well. Complex game, that's all I'm saying. Alright, we got some stickers. I don't know if this is to fix some things or not. I'll have to kind of check that out. And we have some achievement sheets. Oh my gosh, how many? Okay, it looks like they're all... Okay, yep, this is multiple copies. Now this is nice. A lot of times this stuff is just regular paper, but this is the same as the rulebook pages. It's very fancy, very nice. Non-solo games only. So there's an achievement sheet, and then on the back, you can become a hairstylist or got you. So this is kind of cool. I like these achievements. That's neat. That's cool. I dig that. All right. It's the same size as the rulebook and everything. It's literally the exact same kind of pages. And then I'm assuming player aids are these. Let's see. Oh, I don't know. Oh, nope. These are different. I think it might be for the different people. I think these are like their different skill sets. So if you would pick your characters and take theirs. But there's, I think, there should be like 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's 6. Okay. I guess that's what that is. Fair enough. Extra bags. You know what, guys? This is great as well. Gosh, this is a joy. Okay. I haven't had an unboxing like this in a while. This does not cost a whole lot, to you, my understanding. If you are definitely like, oh my gosh, that costs so much money, you let me know, and I'll still say include it anyway. I don't care, because I'm the consumer, and it's just how we work. This is so helpful to have different bags. Now, if I were to improve this, I would put the little hole in the bags so that they don't puff up, right? Those ones that let air escape. But different sized bags, a whole bunch of them. Look at all that. I tend to, when I bag things, I tend to include multiple things in one bag because I don't like having a whole lot of bags. I feel it actually increases setup time to not have too many bags and to separate the tokens or whatever real quick versus a bag for every little thing. If nothing else, it speeds up tear down versus set up. Big, thick foam here to hold everything in. It looks like it's all, is this all foam storage? Ooh boy, guys. All right, and this is like thick too. And it's dense, and it keeps its shape fairly well. I can scrunch it, kind of down. I don't know if it raises up or not. No clue. Heck if I know. All right. We got some standee holders. I'm not going to show you these. We've seen these. What I will say is they're not the cheap black plastic ones you kind of get, where the clips are like flimsy. These are very rigid. So I don't know if you can see that or not, but very, very rigid clips. That's not going to move. And I don't see... No, okay, fine. See, I'm already talking about it. I'll open it up. Let's go all in on this, guys. One thing, or a few things. Okay, so with these clips, first of all, very, very strong part here, but there's no little inlay here, which is both good and bad. If it's not tight enough, if this is like, if there's some variance here, sometimes stuff can get really loose, right? That being said, this whole thing does pressure instead of just that little nub that they'll put inside of here. So you won't get that indent on the things you stick in there, at least not in that nub. This whole thing might indent. It depends on how big of a thing you're putting in there, on how that looks. But either way, I appreciate that more than a little nub, personally. We got some silica packets. Don't eat that. We got some dice here. And some big, oh my goodness, these are big dice. Okay. So, a few things about the dice. They're not custom dice. They are cool colored. I prefer, I'm spending a lot of money on a Kickstarter. And look, they do have the little holes in the bag here, so that these don't puff up. By the time you're getting foam storage like this, you may as well get some custom dice that just have at least one special symbol on them for the 1 or the 6 or something like that, perhaps. Just something a little fun, something a little custom. My preference, it just makes it feel more premium and less like Yahtzee. These, however, oh my gosh, are big. Now, these are two different kinds of dice too, and this is kind of interesting. First of all, this is all black, and I have no idea what the heck this is for or why this is a thing. I bet maybe this is the stickers. Where are the stickers? I don't know. Am I supposed to put stickers on this thing? Don't tell me that, guys. Oh, this is so premium. Foam storage. Here, put some stickers on a die. I think so. Look at this. So you're going to put stickers on this. I don't like that. Just because if I play this game a lot, which hopefully you do and you enjoy it and you love it, those do tend to start to wear. Two different kinds of dice though, and that's kind of important too. So based off how they roll, these are the really kind of like curved Chiswick dice that like roll a lot, which is super fun to roll. It's a lot of fun to roll. However, they're not as accurate. This is more accurate of a random than this. Just because you don't get this perfect, the more perfect the edges are, the more accurate it is. So if you go to like a casino, you're going to see all dice like this, actually much crisper than even this. You won't even get that little bit there. And that makes each side have an exact equal amount of chance. When you do something like this, sometimes you'll feel like dice like roll like, oh man, it always rolls at 5. Well, that's probably because there's actually some imperfections here that allow it to actually make a big enough difference to where you actually even notice that it tends to be a little bit heavier here, or roll here easily because the angle's a little different or whatever. And some of it's just the polish they add. I mean, there's a lot of stuff there, little imperfections like this little spot right here. I don't know if you can even see that or not. Do that. So just as an FYI, these are more fun to roll because they roll a lot more. These tend to just kind of plop a little bit, do 1 to maybe 2 rolls, maybe 3. It depends. If you have a big table, you can get some good roll on it, but otherwise, I mean, at some points it starts to kind of slide, so you kind of want to roll these differently to where they bounce a little bit. I'm talking way too much about dice, but yeah, especially dice without any special things and sometimes completely blank. Actually, here, I'll put it right back in here. Look at that. I'm not big, by the way. If there's a spot like this, I don't know why. Like, why does it have to be in a baggie? I get in the manufacturing, it keeps them together. By all means, bag them up for manufacturing. But when I store them, I tend to take them out of the bag. It's just an extra step, and they're going to stay in here anyway. There's not really a need. Okay, so this is nice. We got an easy open. Look at that. I prefer this over the little tear things. First of all, I don't like the tear thing. Secondly, if I really wanted to, I could keep using this at least for a little bit, and it's just easier for me to get that than to pick at the little gold or red thing, you know, the wrap, and kind of take it off or whatever. So, you know, whatever. Okay. Big cards here. Let's see, they do have a little bit of a linen finish, so it's actually quite nice. It's pretty matte, so it's not going to be a high gloss. I have a lot of light poking at this right now while I film, and it's not reflecting really any of it, which is super nice. Let's see, it is a pretty good core to the card. There's some nice snap back where, like, I can bend it like that, and then it comes back pretty much straight. There's a little slight bend after all of those, but that's pretty slight. And not only that, but I was bending this for quite a bit, which is nice. And then here, it's not really going to have too much of more bend than I thought. So at this point, it is a little deformed, but it's not too bad. That being said, you know, if these were smaller, it'd be an issue. But if you're one to kind of pinch, if you would, let's say, hold a whole bunch of these and you pinch that will start to bend a little bit. So just as an FYI, be careful with that. Looks like these are all just like 2 copies of each, probably for each side of the table. Just little helpers. That's how many helpers you have. Front and back on all of them. Love it. Wow. Okay. Quite the game. And then only one of these. She's Intervention. Interesting. Okay. All right. Fair enough for Shy? I don't know. Whatever. Okay, we got several different areas for card packs here. And I will say, I think you could even do sleeves in here. It depends. You have to get pretty close to the exact millimeter, so it'll be a tight fit on these, but totally possible. But there's enough space here to where you get that little bit there, and then on the top here, I bet you could do sleeved here. The one thing really that is the question is the thickness. You probably want almost like penny sleeves, I would imagine. If you got like really high micron count, it's just going to get too fat, right? It's going to get too tall because it's going to double the size of these things, and you don't want that. So it might poke up a little bit. Just be aware of that. There is a lid, as you saw. However, the lid is fairly loose. If you were wanting to do sleeves, and it does pop up a little bit, rough up the bottom of this, like just with a knife or something like that. And then once this is all packed on there, that should put enough friction on these to not really have them slide around, especially if you have like a matte backed sleeve for like shuffling purposes or something like that, I would think. All right, let's come on, move in. Come on. All right. Not easy open on these. That's okay. Ugh, maybe. So I need all the easiness I can. Easy is still like hard. Like you would think I'd be better at unboxing things, but I'm not. There we go. Okay. All right. So these are pretty darn skinny, I feel. Maybe slightly skinnier than I would have liked. It doesn't look like there's too much of a bend in them. There is a little bit though. I feel like it's a little concave there. So one easy way to check that out is that's all nice and straight. So we're going to take this and flip it like that. And as you can see, there is a bend. So now it's bending this way and this way because I flipped them. So definitely a bend in the cards from the get-go. That happens fairly often. Sometimes I feel they wrap them too tight, and I feel that's the issue. The top card, additionally, and it may have been me, may have not, I don't know, does have a little bit of a nick here. So they can definitely kind of get nicked as well. Smooth on all sides. It doesn't feel like it was cardboard cut or something like that. I imagine these actually will flatten out if you try to, if you have some that are pretty bad. It's the same kind of thing though. It'll spring back a little bit, but over time, if I just kept doing this, it'll slowly kind of keep that curve. Which means it also will do it the other way too, but eventually you just start wearing it down, so you got to be careful with that. Looking at this, I love the numbers on the backs. I'm assuming that's going to be super helpful to be able to see that. There's a few variety of different backs. However, they all have the same kind of background for the most part, so they look very similar. They definitely have a green feel to it, right? The symbology seems to be pretty okay. It would have been nice to have this contrast a little bit higher, like the white around it, the glow around it be a little bit brighter, my opinion. But I think it's all right. It's just right now, again, I have so much light pointing at it, and you're looking at this really close, but if this is on the table and it's in your game room with like a single ceiling fan above you or something like that, the lighting is yellow or whatever, I do worry sometimes, and you're playing with like some old dudes, or you are an old dude yourself, the eyes might struggle a little bit with, dark on dark kind of stuff. So a little bit more contrast I think would have gone a long way, especially if there's any kind of like color blindness going on or anything like that. That being said, for the most part, it's pretty darn good. It's just kind of a room for improvement kind of thing. And it looks like the back matches the front art-wise, so you get that consistency. Not a personal fan of the just kind of drab green of that, but that's okay. But to get off of that, let's go ahead and look at this, because I see this basilisk, and you guys are like, why'd you open the boring cards? Well, you know what? I don't know. I didn't look at the other card options. I just kind of took one. So now that I'm looking, let me go take these, because these are freaking sweet. I'm not going to open every single card pack and look at every card. If you want just a view of the contents, I imagine there's an update on the Kickstarter that can show you that. If nothing else, a picture will do that wonders. If you're watching this long of a video, you're here for my me speaking about things, and I can't just be like, oh, that's a pretty picture. Oh, that's a pretty picture too. Oh, look, another pretty picture. Oh, that picture's super. So anyway, yeah, I'm not here to show you every single content. I'm here to unbox it and talk through it. So right off the bat, I will say, it's cool that you get some information like ahead of time before you flip it. That's neat. It worries me that the one is a basilisk. Like, is that as easy as it gets? I guess so, because here's Kerberos here, also level 1. I don't know. And then this lizard. That's a wyvern. The lizard is also level 1. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, I'd like the full art. So it's art all the way across. There's no border anywhere. I really appreciate that. I think the art was definitely made with the card design in mind. That's important. So a lot of times they'll commission art, and then they have no idea what the card layout is going to be, and so then they put the layout on it, and it's like, oh, it's an angle looking down at the lizard, and so most of his body, and you see his nose and eyes here, or something like that, right? Like they'll position it and then put this UI over it, and it messes it up. But all of these that I am seeing know that, hey, there's going to be something here and something here, so keep this empty and keep this as the least interesting part of the image. And if you look at this, they are all like that, and that is fantastic. It goes to show that they kind of knew that they were just smart about it, right? And that can really mess up cards like that. So I'm really glad to see that. See that done. That's really helpful. Now this is a different layout, and I don't think it's as important to see all of the art, but even then you're still kind of getting a good sense of it. Like that one's a little fairly covered up because this is so big and everything like that, but you still kind of get what you're looking at. It's still working, I think, even with that. But I think this is what it was designed for. That's where it's the full art, and it looks great. So yeah, I actually really dig that. That looks nice. These are good. That's a great art style too. I like it. Nice and colorful, which is nice. And again, the full art is nice. All the icons and stuff you can read really well. The numbers look good. This again, maybe a little bit of a thicker stroke of white around the 7 would have helped slightly. Just make sure that 7 stands out. Just because it's a little bit of a muted, darker red, which I appreciate. I don't want no candy apple red or anything there, but you just want to make sure it's visible, even in a dimly lit game room. Okay, I think that's it for the top level, so let's see what's underneath. Oh man, this is all foam storage. This is nice. Oh boy. Alright, so we got... So what do we have here? Probably minis. Yep, miniature box. And more miniatures. Let's see what's underneath here too. I am curious because I imagine there is more coming. And we'll do minis at the end. This is this tray. So this tray here had these little grabby things on the side I could lift it up on. This does not have anything. It's all the way to the edge. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to take the boxes out, and then that will allow me to get something to grab. Oh man, that's going to rip it. Ideally, this would have had little nubs too, but it doesn't have nearly as thick of walls to do that in. But even a little bit, just a finger's worth, I think would have done really well there. Let me put this back in there just so I'm not taking up too much space. All right, we're getting down here now, but there's still plenty more to go. My goodness. All right, so I'm going to move this out of the way a little bit and take a look at these boards. My goodness, these are huge. Okay, so I get it's a big game in both scope and length and mechanically, and I needed an appendix that's 32 pages long or whatever. Like, okay, sure. And I don't think you need to put everything too small. I got a comment recently, so you might be watching this, in which case I'm referring to you. You know who you are. That commented on not wanting things smaller. And I don't think it's necessarily that we need things smaller. It's all about layout, and it's about, let me make sure this is bright enough for you guys. It's about layout and negative space, right? I think is the key here. So, for instance, like we have coins here, and maybe that's to put your coins, but you could put coins here, I feel too. Now, maybe this is filled up with other stuff. I don't know. I'm just talking kind of out my butt right now. But my point is, like, you see all this, like, spacing here, and then all the spacing here. This could have been a grid with no spacing in between, and it would have been fine, right? So, it like this. You see how this is like a grid? Think of this, but bigger, right? And then I think these maybe could have shrunk a little bit. It depends on the tiles and the information you have when you lay it on there. But either way, this could have been a grid, and it could have shrunk down, you know, probably to about there, right? If you just shrunk all that in. Same here, could have been attached to this. You didn't need this. So you could have easily at least gotten rid of that much just by scrunching this in a little bit more. Still would have had a spot for everything. Haven't shrunk any icons. Haven't even shrunk the tokens yet. That's just getting rid of this negative space here. Could have done that. And then you have this over here as well. And in fact, if you had put her over here and put all of the thing in a big grid over here, then you could have made it even smaller. So as somebody who doesn't have a dedicated game table, so I game on my dining table and I game on this. But when I game on this, I have to pull it out, and I can make it half, which is what it is now, or I could do the full thing. The full thing I try to only do for Warhammer, like a full tabletop war game. If your board game is taking up that much space, I do start to wonder, okay, does it need to take that much space? Is that required? I know people that only have a coffee table, in which case this is just not for them, apparently. Okay, moving on from that. Let's go and punch this out. Punches out great. It is the kind of thing where the print is full. So you can see it keeps going. Even on the part you punch out. I like that because it guarantees that even if the cut is slightly off, right? Even if the print is like this or whatever, I'm not going to get some random border on there, right? It actually saves your butt a little bit just in case something goes wrong. Now, another big thing with this being so big, right, is that this is bent already, and it can just continue to bend because it's so long here that the bigger something is, the thicker it needs to be. And you can choose to put words in my mouth on what that means and what context I'm saying that in all you want. I know my patrons will in Discord. That being said, it's not bent enough yet to where this is really popping up. I have had games to where once they're really exposed to air, they do start to kind of morph a little bit. And I live in a very dry area. I live in Idaho, in like the desert valley. So it's called the Treasure Valley, but it's a desert. Anyway, we don't get a lot of rain. the humidity index is not very high typically. So if you live like down south where it rains a lot and stuff like that, or in the US or somewhere else in the world where the humidity index is pretty high, sometimes these can swell and kind of morph based off that. Okay, so enough of the size and shape and all that. I don't see any dings. The tags seem to be pretty darn minimal. They are noticeable, they are visible, but not by a whole lot. It's not too bad. I think one thing that could maybe sometimes help make it less visible is to actually, I just recently unboxed
Uprising, and they had a black core. And I'm not saying you have to pitch for the black core, but even if you had some kind of like paint on it or something like that, right? So it wasn't this white tag, but a black tag there, man, that you would barely even notice. All right. Symbology looks good. Like very obvious what each thing is. Though I tend to think pants, and that's really just knees here. So it looks a little odd there, but whatever. And of course, seeing the armor pieces with the lady that obviously does not wear armor. A little odd, but it works. It's fine. It's fine. I'm okay with that. Your bag slots here, your accessories, different like runes and stuff like that. Like I can tell by looking at this what a lot of this is. There is kind of a red zone here. I don't know if this is mechanical or not, or just visual. If it's just visual, I guess it's fine, but it's not needed. If it's mechanical, then that's really nice to see. I do that. And they do have a spot for 0, which I appreciate too. Sometimes, like, if it ends at 1 and you die, it's like, well, do you just take it off, like, your tracker off the board or whatever? I don't know. It would have been nice to have this dual layer. Like, that would have been kind of the only nice thing, especially with this. I worry that anything I'm tracking, a table bump is going to change everybody's health randomly. And because it's like 2-layer like this, it can change from 18 to 5, right? Like very easily. And that's a big jump in health, but a very small jump in a token thing. So having a double layer where I could put a little cube in or something like that would have done wonders for that. And I say that because I have a son that constantly knocks into the table because he's constantly getting up to get a drink or something like that, or whatever it is, and he always hits it and everything flies, and I have to deal with it a lot, so I'm sensitive to it. But that would have cost a lot for sure, and I understand that. It would have cost less if these were smaller. Just saying. Not by too much. Okay, and the back just has kind of a generic thing. But no, I like it. And the art style seems fairly consistent. I don't know if they had different artists or not. If they did a really good job having a unifying like vision to it all. And there are differences here. Like I'm seeing like, like the chest thing has a little 1 there versus not here, and stuff like that, which is cool to see. It looks like everybody's health bar goes to 15, which kind of makes sense because that's how many spaces there are. If there was a max health or a starting health position for them, it would have been nice to either have that information right there on the back, perhaps, or better yet, marked that just like you marked this stuff. Like if her max health or her starting health is 25, well, it's really easy to set up if I have it right there. I don't have to look up anything or I forgot how much her health was or something like that. Maybe they all start with 15 health. I don't know. It does shrink down fairly bit when you take out the tray stuff, by the way. So that's nice. All right. We got more. This is never ending. We have more tokens here. I'm going to punch out, probably not those. What I'm going to do is just punch out these smaller ones. I've already punched out the big thing. I'm going to punch out these small ones, see how those punch out. Though normally E-Star is actually pretty darn good with their cardboard. Not like the highest here, but above adequate for sure. So these are punching out just fine. I'm not really seeing any tags or anything. I know there are some. See if we can look at it here. Even zoom in a little bit here for you. There we go. All right, let's look for a tag. So it would be right here. So there is a little spot where it's not quite even, right? That's normally where the tag is. This is so close, so it's like just a tiny little bump. Very, very nice. Nice and smooth cut. It didn't rough up the inner wood or anything. Sponginess is actually fairly high, even for such a small token. I get a lot of give when I squeeze on this. Like it's just quite spongy. The reason I say this is because a lot of times as you pick up stuff and stuff like that, you're going to be pinching it, and that constant flex will end up separating these layers where you can see there's a layer here and a layer here. So this is like a and then of course there's multiple layers inside of those two. This is just what I'm showing. There's like a whole bunch. It's all compressed. So the more spongy it is, typically it doesn't last as long looking this pristine. So I don't know how long you're handling these little things, but as an FYI, that's why I comment on that. The harder it is, the more wood-like it is, the longer it'll last when it comes to that. But also, again, depends on what you're doing with them. All right. No, I can feel this. This is interesting. All right, I'm going to actually go ahead and jump to the glue a little bit here. Very nice glue job that I can see from here. There's a little bit of a tear here, not too bad. I do feel something here, so let's flip that and see what that is. Nothing actually visible, but there is a little bit of a, I can feel it here, like a wrinkle or whatever there. Just a little bit of gooiness. Maybe more glue was there, or it was bent a little bit. But you know, overall, like right here too, I can feel it when I rub. It's not like totally straight on there. And I think honestly that I notice this a lot with E-Star, that they have a glue that is like always sticky, like it doesn't harden, because it just feels like it was freshly glued. Like I almost could squeeze it out, I feel right now. I can't. It's very thin, but you get that little bit of a feel in there. Kind of interesting. This is a big box, and as such, it's going to get a lot of like fuss when I pull up on the lid and all of that. So it'll be interesting to see how long this lasts. Mainly because these are only held together with this wrap, really. There's interlocking here, so it's locked in here and then locked in the other way here and then locked in that way there. So this is going in this way, this is going in this way, which does help reinforce it. But it's not the thickest box I've had. It's actually fairly thin for its size, which is why you get so much flex here. And that flex, by the way, makes it harder to open too. So like when you open that, you're going to grab them, and that's going to flex, which is then going to inverse it here, and it's really hard. You have to like get it there to get your fingers, and then let loose, and then just glide it straight up. That'll help you open the box. But that's what that is. It's because this is so another silica packet, which is nice. This is so bendy. All right, so we got more tokens here. Tons and tons and tons of tokens. Whew. All right, guys. Oh my gosh. All right. This is a big piece here. Lots here. All right. Oh my gosh. All right. And that is finally the freaking end. My goodness. All right. Ugh. Now this is a lot. There we go. Look at that. We even have, what is this? This is kind of interesting. It's like, I don't even know what that is. It's like glue. Some kind of glue thing of some kind. All right, so again, one of those things where this could be a lot smaller, right? Like they obviously had a design and they liked the design, and they didn't want to take away from that design by potentially doing, making this smaller. But this is what, I mean, I don't know how much table space is going to take up, but this alone is like half a playing area for a lot of games. Like this is half of a Chronicles of Druengar map in its entirety, and it's just this thing. So this might be a game where you need like a side table to put some stuff on. And again, there's so much space here that this could have shrunken into without really changing spaces too much. Having 50 spaces around would have changed a little bit, though there were other ways to do it besides just the 4, right? You could have snaked it just like you snake this. Right, so you could have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like there are other ways to fit it to where you still have the same space. So overall, just a lot of wasted space here. It looks pretty, but it takes up so much freaking room. I do really worry about that. Mainly because I like to just sit and play the game, and so which means I want to be able to see everything and reach everything. I don't want to have to get up every time I mess with this, because it's way way the heck over there in my kitchen while I play in my living room or something. Again, exaggeration, I know. Okay, again, same thing. Could have shrunken these grids a lot. I know I'm harking on that, but I just see a lot of wasted space here that is a little obnoxious. The quality, by the way, has been really nice. It really has. Here are the standees. So if you had the characters, you would do this. One thing that I'm noticing right away is that each one is a different shape, which I think is very nice. That's actually pretty cool. So They are not super shaped. Like, look at this dragon here. To the, there's a tag hang. To the image, right? Like it's not like really trying to fit the image, but each one is a different shape, which just again helps it a little bit kind of stand out more, which I do appreciate. That's kind of cool. Just not that you should really know a big difference there. Now, one thing that does kind of bother me a little bit with these standees, and I wonder if the miniature is going to be that way. I hope they are. Is that looks like a dwarf, and the dwarf I feel should be smaller, should be shorter than the full-grown wizard, like human mage here, or the barbarian dude, and he's not really smaller. Like, I guess he is in the picture, right? Because he's like way up here. See all this space up here where they don't have that. But that's just a picture. The actual thing I'm looking at, they're all the same size. I would have still preferred to see him smaller. But, I also would prefer the mini. So who they can buy to say anything. Again, these still punch out all nice. They're all good. Double-sided, which is really nice. Mainly because all you need to appreciate double side is to get one game to where it's all one side, and that back side, like if it didn't have that 5 and you had all these and you had to like flip them over to see what value they are because they all had to be fit, and that's dumb. One-sided tokens are a pain. All right, here we go. Getting some more shapes here. The tags are definitely keeping in place, but they're very minimal. They're very nice so far. This art looks great. Love the one here. The drop shadow really makes it pop out, even with that white there. And then on the back, this all looks good too. Big symbols, so I'll be able to see that. Okay, in fact, I see that more than the art. They definitely stand out, which is good. I'm fine with it. At the end of the day, board games need to be playable, right? It doesn't just need to be pretty. This isn't an art piece. This is a game, and so every mechanic needs to have, and every component needs to serve its purpose as a game. I comment that a lot about base rings, right? Like if you have 6 players playing on a map. Even though you should know your army, it's not always easy to know everybody else's army. But if you have a base ring a certain color, no, that's not thematic to have a bright orange ring around, your zombies. But you know that it's, your brother's guys because your brother is orange. So that's kind of what I mean by that. All right, well, that was pretty much everything. So the only thing that's different between the deluxe, let me try and put this back in. My goodness. Now this does shrink a lot, so I don't know. I have a feeling there's going to be some extra space in here because this was a tight fit as it is now. Oh my gosh, I should have tried to put all this. I can't. I'll do it off camera. Oh my gosh. Okay. It's going to go on the floor. Oh, all right. There's like 15 pounds. They'll slide around a little bit. That's kind of what I worry about. Okay, these are kind of difficult, though they're wrapped right now, so I imagine it'll make it easier when they're not wrapped. Alright, let's get this Griffin bonus. That's a terrible... always use sharp blades. Dull blades are how you actually get hurt. That'll cut my flesh easier than it'll cut this plastic, apparently. I need to change that blade. Oh my gosh. So much, guys. Oof. Griffin bonus. Alright, let's check this Griffin out. I do like this box. These tend to open and close pretty well. Much better than the kind of tab ones that always just get all janky like instantly. Alright, now with the mini, it looks like we got a few extra stuff here. We got it's a little scenario with the Griffin. That's nice. In different languages. That's not helpful for me. But it allows them to only print one. I'm okay with it. It's pretty minor. It's when you back a game like from Mythic Games where you get like this many cards that you don't need. It's like, well, first of all, now I don't need it. Like I feel bad throwing it away, but at the same time, so you still have the standee. I don't know if you would just get this. I imagine is what you get otherwise. But either way, you have the option if you have the minis. All right, 2 new standees there. And the mini. So this is also kind of interesting where it's like the mini, this is all extra, right? Because it had to fit this. Now, this is also one of those things where it would have been nice if this had been 2 smaller trays. So it only had to be this big, right? But then the problem is this. But if this had been like wrapped on top or something like that, I feel like that would have been a lot better. And then you can cut this much off of the box. I've seen much worse, so I'm not complaining too much. All right, with this, the lid is not snap on, but that's fine. This is black. The black ones, you can see the shape easier, and they tend to be a little bit thicker. Notice you don't hear a whole lot of like crinkling, that we get sometimes with like the cheaper ones. So that's nice as well. And let's go and take the mini out and take a look. So this is a washed mini, which is obviously just going to make it look great. All right, Brian did a little bit for you guys so you can see it a little bit better because this is all dark on dark for the most part here. These look really nice. So pretty like it's not like slimy to the touch or anything like that. I don't know exactly how much varnish they put on, or if they put any like I don't really get any on my fingers. I don't really see it being wiped away too bad. But maybe, I don't know, I've never really tried. Looks pretty consistent. These kind of mass washes, or like airbrush sprays that they do. It's not going to be even per se, right? So like for instance, there's none here, right? And then there's a whole bunch here. But overall, I think it looks quite nice. Detail wise, I think the feathers look nice. I see this a lot actually with E-Star, or with I guess several manufacturers, where sometimes the render will have the texture and they'll make it flat. I've even seen that before. But if you notice here, first of all, this is a freaking thick wing, like a hugely thick wing. And in fact, this wing much thicker than this wing. See how skinny this wing is compared to this wing? Like tell me you can see that, because that looks huge. That actually looks pretty decent. Like this gets pretty darn skinny. This doesn't even try. It doesn't even come to a point. So that's already kind of a bummer. But there's no like lines or detail anywhere. It's just flat. These are just like it makes it seem kind of clay-like, if that makes sense. The small ones here look quite nice. The transition looks good. Muscle definition looks good. I like this hanging off the base. I appreciate that. It is a sculpted base. I appreciate that. It looks great as well. And the assembly is actually done pretty darn well. And it's not exasperated in like how it looks based off the wash. Sometimes it'll like settle in there and it'll just make it look really bad. These actually I think still look good. This little bit right here looks nice. Some good little detail there, especially with the like the tongue and the beak and even the eyes. And these skinny little talons actually look pretty good too. And as you can see, pretty well made too. The quality PVC. Okay, very nice. I like it. No snap-in tray either. So that's obviously nice as well. Let's look at the other minis. If I can get it out. Ugh, baby. All right, let's take a look. Zoom out a little bit again. Last cut here, guys. We are almost done. Hope you've enjoyed the detailed unboxing. Takes a little bit longer than really anybody else that does this. But it's honestly how I open it. Like even when I wasn't filming, I wasn't talking to myself through it. That's for sure. But I'd bend the cards and kind of see how it is and get a feel for it and all that kind of stuff. All right, let's take a look and look at that. This is nice. This is nice. Thank you so much. Look at that. The only bummer about this. Wait, does it go there? Yeah, there we go. Put him in right. He goes there. Okay. The only bummer about this is that this tray still here doesn't have anything sitting in there. So it helps set up and tear down, which is nice because it's all in one box. But like, you still have to store it. If this had been separate out of the box, then I wouldn't even need it at all, which would have been really kind of cool. I don't know what that extra space would have bought you, but you know, whatever. All right, so that's cool. Oh, so that's gonna bend his. Is he going in all the way? Make sure he doesn't bend his. Looks like his paw could bend a little bit. You push in there. I don't really see anybody else that close, so I don't know. Maybe that's all the way in. So there's something to keep in mind. That he's like right there, and really like his base is right there, but you're not going to bend his base. But his tiny little paw, you can totally bend there. So just be careful. There is a tiny little bit of a little divot here to help it stay on. It certainly is not a lock, but it is there, which helps put a little bit of pressure on there. I don't think there is an accompanying. I don't think there is a little notch yet, so it's not fitting into a notch here really. There's a slight raise between this and this, very minimal. But it's enough to keep that still kind of snug. And again, this has a lid, so you know, what the heck. All right, let's take a look at some of these. Take a look at the dwarf first. Zoom in. There we go. All right, so here is the dwarf, looking fantastic. Love the keys; those turned out great. Yeah, that looks good. The satchel actually did a great job making it, you know, seem different, which is nice. The beard looks great. The little armor there. The stitching looks nice. Again, sculpted base. Even a fancy kind of rim around it. I'm not seeing any major mold lines, which is nice. The cloth here is not too thick, which I appreciate, and it goes up. It's not flat here, which is also nice. I appreciate that. The pelt here, maybe slightly thicker than I would have liked, but just barely. That's pretty good. Again, the feathers look really, really bland, and it actually makes it to where I can barely tell that these are like quiver bow compared to the pelt here, because it's just so flat with everything. It just melts together. I'm very disappointed in their feathers. They're just not great like that. That without some paint, that just looks like a blob. It just looks like a shiny part somebody put their finger to and rubbed it off on. Love the layers here. That looks nice. The crossbow looks great on top of this pelt. It's actually nice and flat there. It's not stargated into or anything like that. Yeah, this looks good. I'm going to keep him out because I want to check the size. So let's go and look at the wizard here, because we know he's full size. Here is the kind of wizard character. Again, the wash looks great. They actually did a good job having it sit in here. This is nice just because the wash already made it look kind of black. Otherwise, it's actually fairly flat. A bigger ridge would have been, I think, kind of nice to see. Fingers look good, though they are still kind of flat together. It works for the sign here, but it would be interesting to see if anybody had fingers that were, you know, like slightly different, a little bit more natural, perhaps. Definitely shiny from this wash, by the way. Definitely makes him shiny there. And not a lot on the top of his head. They probably held him like that when they washed it or something. Be my assumption, perhaps, because I don't know. There's not a lot on. Maybe it's how he sat. There's quite a bit on here, not a whole lot on here. It happens with these mass-produced things. Stitching here looks good. The wood texture on the staff looks good, and it's quite straight. It's attached here, smart, so there's just a little bit here, and it's attached at the bottom as well. So there's not a whole lot of it to like swing around. Wrinkles in the forehead look good. That's a lot of that. Now this dwarf is like full size. If he were to stand straight, he would be just as tall as this mage, which again it makes it seem more like a chess piece, which on the map, like that's very much how they act. Like they don't, like it's not to scale. But I still would have liked to have the dwarf be a little short character, just because I feel like that's part of the fun of playing a dwarf, and you're almost missing out on that otherwise. All right, let's look at this lady here. Again, the facial details I think are actually quite nice. Detail on the staff looks good. This seems a little bent, perhaps, maybe. A lot of wash on this side, not a lot or any on this side. And there is some flatness right here where the arm literally like melts into the staff. There's zero difference here. It's one solid piece. That's unfortunate to see. Same here. I think just a slight little crevice would have helped differentiate it more. Kind of like here. See how there's that little crevice there? And it makes this seem clearly different. They did not do the same here. There's no ridge there at all. The layer of clothing looks nice. I dig that. And just the overall wrinkles and design there look good. Her hands are actually quite small. And I like that that one's kind of put into a fist. That being said, and I see this a lot on minis, like people's hands don't change that much typically. There are people with hands that could like wrap your hand in theirs. It's not the most common. And it's always that the women have teeny tiny little hands and the men have these big strong hands or whatever. And I think it's too much. I'm fine with the difference, but like look, he's making a fist too. So if you compare the hand size, like she looks like a freaking pygmy comparatively. Like she looks like she has a deformity. If that is a normal hand, or if that's a normal hand, what the heck happened to him? So yeah, just in my opinion, it's overdone. It's put a little too extreme. This looks great. Love the power pose here. Muscles look good. Not a defined six-pack, kind of interesting choice. The blade here is good. It is actually separate, which is pretty slick actually. And it's not too fat either. It's like a really good thickness. It looks nice. It looks great. Face looks good. Beard has texture. That looks nice. Hair looks great, especially swept back like that. It's a different texture than the fur here, which is nice. Really good lines here. That looks cool. The boots look nice. This is swished the same way this is swished, which makes it seem kind of like the same. So I dig that as well. And the sword in the scabbard doesn't look like it's floating or anything like that too. So that looks good as well. All right, let's look at another, it looks like a magic user here. This little ball here actually kind of looks pretty slick. I like that. Again, facial features pretty good. Got eyebrows, stuff like that. Even have like these little, they're not bones, but these like little neck, like veins or whatever look good. This is not flat. Instead, it goes all the way up here. I am liking seeing that. That means this is at least two piece, right? You have the legs, and then she was actually put on top of that. There's also another thing here because this is in front of her chest. Right? Like you would have to fill this in if this was not a separate piece. So anything that goes in front of her needs to be a separate piece. And it looks like it was done very, very well. She has like these like guards, and it was just cut at the difference there, which helps hide the assembly. So that's quite well done as well. So I like that. Yeah, overall, very competently done. And I like it. Again, same kind of swoosh, but it's to a different direction, which I appreciate. Sometimes you get some games and it's like all the swooshes are to the same side. So it's nice that his swoosh is that way and her swoosh is that way. A little bit of variety, visual variety is always kind of nice. All right, next up we have this lady here. Her weapon is bent a little bit, and that's because this is PVC. If this had been made ABS, it was already a separate piece anyway because her arm is assembled here. If this whole thing was ABS, it would have cost a little bit more, but it would have prevented that bendiness. That being said, even just right here, I think I pretty much fixed it. But nothing else, hot water, you can kind of treat that as you need to. Now, if there's one issue I have with this wash, it's that it looks better on like animals and stuff like that, but it makes people look kind of dirty, which, you know, or even kind of statuey, which can be kind of neat, but, you know, whatever. I'm not going to comment too much on the bases, but it is kind of minimal, right? So, like, you can see hers, it's just a little bit of texture, just a tiny bit. Same here, just a tiny bit, not a whole lot, which is fine. The swoosh matches the leg positions quite well. I like that. That's nice to see. The hair looks great. I really, really like the hair. It's just got a really nice texture to it. It looks like it'd be actually fun to paint. Nice, like layers. Like this is clearly deeper than this, right? And so I like that you kind of see the layers of it there. The feathers here actually have a little bit of a texture. They forgot to make these kind of soulless cartoon-like. I like these feathers the most because they have a texture. It looks great. The end of this weapon, by the way, with the little like design here, fantastic looking. That looks really, really nice. I did that a lot. All right, we got 2 monsters here. So let's go and take a look at the golem. Here is the golem miniature. We're actually going to have to maybe zoom out a little bit there. There you go. And again, I think the wash on characters like this look fantastic. That being said, painted, he would look freaking killer with all these bright, like gem diamond things coming out. A lot more to the base as well. They definitely kind of did more here, which again looks great. Definitely benefits from it. I really like the pose as well. It's a very unique pose with almost a gorilla stance here, but then lifted up just on this side with his arm up too, looking over that way, and his arm kind of above his head. Just a very, very unique pose that you don't see very often. It's not like I have a whole bunch of minis in this pose, which I like. This gives it a nice scale, and because these are kind of like pieces on a board, like a chess board kind of thing, so the scale's wrong, right? Whereas this guy obviously would be way bigger than this guy, even though he's not that big. And you can tell that by them including an arch here like that, especially the arch. Yeah, so you can tell like, oh, okay, this was actually like a person would be here. So that's kind of the size indicator there, which is nice to include if you're not going to be, totally accurate on size. Same thing with this, right? Like he could actually be bigger than him. It's kind of hard to tell with this, but you can tell he's really big. I really like the design of this, by the way. It looks great. The shapes are good. The angle is nice. The tail wrapped around looks good. It does look distinctly different. Nice 90-degree angle. There's no like bleeding into it too bad. There's a little bit of bleed in here compared to here, right? This looks very different. This doesn't. That's really the only place I'm seeing that though. Wing looks good. The texture on the scales are nice. Assembly's good. Nothing seems too fat. Both wings seem the same thickness. So I appreciate that. And again, neither is like obnoxious. Yeah, looks nice. Okay. Whew. Alright guys, that is all of Euthia Torment of Resurrection. I'm going to get started reading rulebook number 1 and then appendix number 1 and then playing the game. I'll let you guys know what I think about it in due time. Give me some time though. I'm also moving. There's a lot of stuff going on. So at least at the time of recording this, I am very, very busy, but I will get to it. It's just a matter of when. So, all right, thanks a lot, guys, and I'll talk to you guys again real soon. Bye, guys.